Hey everyone, Kenny Chan here with Centric 21% Group. Today's video is a special one about townhomes. I'm going to be clearing up a lot of confusion about townhomes. And in fact, once you get through this whole video, if you get through it, I guarantee you'll learn something new that you absolutely did not know earlier about townhomes. So the word townhomes is a very general term. It by itself really doesn't mean anything. And I feel like in the industry, not just buyers, not just sellers, but also realtors, there is actually quite a bit of misunderstanding about townhomes. And between the different types of townhomes, there's actually can be a very wide price gap as well. So now two topics we won't be discussing today about townhomes are something called vacant land condominium corporations and leasehold condominium corporations. If these two mean nothing to you, don't worry about it. We're not talking about it anyways. So here's how we're going to be talking about townhomes. We're going to go with a general definition of a townhouse. We're going to be then going into something called freehold townhomes. And we're going to actually be talking about monthly fees for freehold townhomes. No monthly fee versus something called a POTL fee. And then we're going to switch over to condo townhomes, talk to you about what the monthly fees cover for a condo townhome, and then also talk about different structures of condo townhomes, not stacked or stacked. Okay. So let's get started with townhomes themselves. The basic definition of it is a single family home with at least one shared wall with another independently owned single family home. So one home with at least one shared wall with another home. Now, these are different from semi-detached properties, and they're also different from linked houses. They are not defined by the number of stories that they have, and they're not defined whether or not they have a backyard or a front yard. So the first misunderstanding that some people have is that they can tell what is a condo townhouse versus what is a freehold townhouse just by looking at it. So sometimes you can, however, a lot of the times you can't. For example, in the one on the bottom left versus the bottom right, structurally they kind of look the same if you're looking at it from the street or the sidewalk, but one is a freehold townhome, one is a condo townhome. Now, this green bar here is just to describe where the boundary lines are between the townhomes, okay? So let's get started with a freehold townhome and give a very simplified definition. When you own a freehold townhome, you own the unit as well as the land that it sits on. And this is a most commonly understood and recognized type of townhouse by the general public. The vast majority of these townhomes do not have a monthly maintenance fee. However, there are some freehold townhomes that have something called a POTL or POTL fee, which I will explain later. So let me show you a couple examples. So what are the reasons why people like freehold townhomes? Well, they have near 100% control of the interior and the exterior of the home, but they also have near 100% responsibility of the interior and the exterior. In terms of the parking, it's often attached to the unit, such as a garage, or could be in the backyard. So for example, this is a client of mine. Their townhome, their green lines are the boundaries between their neighbors. So they have their garage that's attached to the property, first level, a second level, and a third level. Here's another property. This is another client of mine. They have what is an end unit corner townhouse. So this is a townhouse. There's more houses to the left. The green bar is the boundary, and they happen to be at the very end of the townhouse complex, so actually they only have one attached neighbor. So it almost feels like a semi-detached property. Now, there's some considerations with a freehold townhouse if you're going to buy it. Usually you have no assistance whatsoever with any type of maintenance. Like I mentioned, you almost have 100% responsibility for the interior and exterior, so you have to find the right people to get those maintenance or repairs done. You also have almost no assistance with disorderly neighbors because they are independently owning their property as well. Usually you will have higher taxes because of the higher home values of freehold townhomes. Over time, curb appeal can diminish if the neighbors are not taking care of their frontage of the property. So the next misunderstanding is that, and I've mentioned this earlier, is that all freehold townhomes have no monthly fee. This is one of the misunderstandings people have. It's not just buyers, sellers, it's also realtors. And that's not necessarily true. there can actually be freehold townhomes with a monthly POTL or POTL fee, and I'll get into that. So POTL fee is also called a parcel of tied land. So it's actually extra part ownership in some common elements of a townhouse complex. For example, a freehold townhouse might have private parking, like a private parking for visitors. You might also have a private road. So to get from the street onto a private road and then onto your driveway, that private road that's directly attached to your driveway may actually not be municipality owned. It may be private owned by the complex. Also, some of them may have private sidewalks and private parks. For example, there's a client of mine here. They have a POTL fee, but the property itself is freehold. So they pay an additional fee for things like water, landscaping, and groundskeeping of the common areas. So this is not their backyard. This is, let's say, a sidewalk, and there is landscaping right next to the sidewalk. There's also groundskeeping, for example, like snow removal. All right, for example, right here on the left behind the stop sign, there's a visitor parking lot that is shared between all of the townhomes, but it's not municipality owned. So the municipality is not going to come and repave it. They're not going to come and shovel the snow off of it. They're not going to make any repairs if there are potholes. Okay. At the same time, this little area here, you see right on the left of the stop sign, this is a common area that will be maintained by the townhouse complex through payments from this POTL fee. So the owner of this property does not maintain this little section of grass here where the transformer is, but they would maintain their own grass that's right next to their own property. Okay. And also, if there's some townhouse complexes may also have a private parkette for the residents to use, in which case that's not municipality owned. It will be managed through the monthly fee from the POTL. Even though this townhouse is a freehold townhouse, the owner of this owns the property and the land it sits on. So we've covered the definition of a townhouse. We've covered freehold townhomes. We've also talked about freehold townhomes with no monthly fee and freehold townhomes with a monthly fee. So now let's get started and talk about condo townhomes, in which case all condo townhomes do have a monthly fee. Then we're going to be talking about different structures of condo townhomes, whether they're stacked or unstacked. So condo townhouse, a simplified definition for you is you own the unit, but you also own an interest in the property's common elements. For example, the land that the townhouse complex sits on, you own a portion of that, the land. Shared parking lots, you own a portion of that. Private park or green space, you own a portion of that. Now, when I mean you own a portion of that, that doesn't mean that you can sell your unit separately from your interest in the common elements and assets that are shared among all the neighbors. So you actually have to sell them together. So you can't just sell a portion of the land and then keep the unit. Now, there is a monthly fee associated with all condo townhomes, and it usually covers things like water for the units, landscaping, and snow removal of the common areas. Once again, if you have a driveway, this is not snow removal or landscaping of the driveway or your front yard. It is only for the common areas, and that's defined by each condo townhome. Parking lot maintenance. So a lot of condo townhomes may actually have an underground parking lot that is an open parking lot that's shared between different condo townhomes. You might have an assigned parking space, but the whole parking lot will be maintained separately with the condo fees or the monthly fees. Another feature of condo townhomes is that usually the roof is maintained and repaired by the condo townhouse complex or the corporation that takes the monthly fees, as well as most of the exterior maintenance. So if there's some damage to the brick, like the roof or whatever, that typically is maintained by the monthly fees. Now, some condo townhomes are actually associated with a larger condo apartment, in which case you might actually have access to the gym of the condo apartment, different facilities. There might be a parking lot that you can access to, like a visitor parking lot in the condo apartment, as well as the concierge, who might be there to accept your parcels and provide additional security. So what are some reasons why people may prefer a condo townhome? You obviously get some assistance for the maintenance and repairs of different elements of the townhome. Most of the time, you only have to worry about the interior of the townhouse. the exterior typically is managed by the townhouse corporation. And there's also rules for the neighbors to follow. So there's a little bit more regulation or rules associated with how you should be living, or some good neighborly rules to follow. And neighbors that don't follow that can face repercussions. So we've talked about the townhouse in general. We've talked about freehold townhomes. Freehold townhomes that have monthly fee, no monthly fee. We've also talked about a condo townhome, and we've also talked about monthly fees associated with condo townhomes. So lastly, let's talk about the structures that different condo townhomes can take, whether it's stacked or unstacked. Okay, so condo townhomes, like I mentioned, have two different styles. And the easiest way to explain them is non-stacked condo townhomes have no neighbors above, no neighbors below, and no neighbors behind. So the exterior, when you're looking at it from the street, it most commonly looks like typical freehold townhomes. Now, a stacked townhome also has variation. You might actually have you have a neighbor usually above, sometimes a neighbor below, and sometimes also behind, in addition to the side neighbors. The easiest way to show this is through photos and examples. So here's an example. This is a 2-story condo townhouse that is not stacked, so you can clearly tell there's no neighbor above and there's no neighbor below. It has a front yard and a backyard, and it structurally from the outside looks like a freehold townhouse. Once again, you cannot see just by looking at it what type of townhouse it is. And you can see here, green lines are just boundaries, and the red line is referring to the unit. So the first story, second story, all for one unit. Here is another condo townhouse, a client of mine, 3 stories, 3 right here. It is not stacked. Once again, you can see above it, no neighbors, below it, no neighbors. Now, there's no basement here, but the basement's actually at ground level. So you enter through the garage, and there's actually some living space on this level. You walk upstairs, and this is the living room, dining room, kitchen area, and you go upstairs again, and those are all the bedrooms. So this is a 3-story condo townhouse that is not stacked. The green lines are the boundaries, so you can see this one unit has all 3 stories. Here's another condo townhouse. It is not stacked, okay? So that's 3 stories. So one unit has the main level, an upper level, and the 3rd level. There's no basement on this condo townhouse, and there's also no rooftop terrace. There's obviously a roof, but no rooftop terrace. Here's another one. Now this is a little bit more interesting. It's not a stacked condo, just like the ones I showed earlier. It's a 3-story. Now it's actually, this land here is also shared with a condo apartment. So this little area here, the sidewalk, all this walkways, these are all private property. This is not municipality owned. So therefore, the condo fee for this will be maintaining this, maintaining the landscaping here, maintaining the walkways, shoveling all that. It's also part of a gated community, so they're paying towards having a concierge at the gate. And there's also an underground parking lot that is shared among the condo townhomes. All right. So far you've seen some photos of freehold townhomes. You've seen some photos of condo townhomes. So far they all look like they have 2 stories. So another misunderstanding that people have is that all townhomes have 2 stories or higher. So that's actually not the case. There are actually condo townhomes that are just 1 story. And I'll show you those examples in a sec. So here's another client of mine in a stacked condo townhouse. So stacked, now this is the first time you're seeing a stacked condo townhouse, so which means there are neighbors top and bottom. So you can see here, the top 2 levels here, the top 2 stories are part of 1 unit. This story here, this story is 1 story, and it's also part of 1 unit. And then the bottom is also another story that's also 1 unit. So really you can have a neighbor up here, a neighbor here, a neighbor here, in addition to the neighbors on both sides. Now every single unit here, whether it's the 2-story unit, 1-story unit, they're all considered condo townhouses. Here's another condo townhouse, another client of mine. This is also a stacked, but it's only a top and bottom, which means there's an upstairs neighbor that takes up these 2 stories, and then there's a downstairs neighbor that takes up these 2 stories. So while this is a stacked, it's not quite the same style of stacked as these ones, which are 3 neighbors vertically, in addition to the neighbors left and right. This one is just 1 neighbor vertical to yours. This one, once again, like I mentioned, townhouses are not defined by whether or not they have a front yard or a backyard. This one in particular does not have a backyard. The front yard is a common area as well. So this sidewalk, this green space here it's all covered and maintained by the condo townhouse through the maintenance fees. Here's another one. Here's a stacked condo townhouse, top to bottom and back to back. So let me explain that again. So this one is 2 stories with a rooftop. So one unit, so one family lives in these 2 stories, and they also have access to a rooftop terrace. One family lives in this 1-story unit, and one family lives in this 1-story unit that is below ground. Now, in addition to having, let's say you're in the middle here, you have a neighbor top and bottom. Okay, you also have a neighbor behind. So this actually obviously is a 2D photo, but this, imagine on the back of this, there's the same thing as what's on the front of this. So you actually have an additional neighbor back to back, and this is why we call it a back-to-back stacked condo townhouse. All right. Here's a more of an interesting condo townhouse. It's kind of stacked, in which case there's one family that lives in the 2 stories here. Now it's actually built underneath an apartment. So obviously this means the condo townhouse has access to, underground parking, and also has access to the condo apartments, concierge, facilities, amenities, gym, etc. So it's a very kind of a unique hybrid between, living in a condo townhouse and also living in a condo apartment. All right, so we've covered pretty much everything here. We've explained what a townhouse is, what is a freehold definition, what's a condo definition. A big misunderstanding about freehold properties is that some freehold townhomes have a monthly fee. Now, all condo townhomes have a monthly fee, but not all condo townhomes are the same. Some are stacked and some are not stacked. So let's talk about the price hierarchy. So typically, now this obviously depends on the size, number of bedrooms, etc. But typically the freehold townhome that has no monthly fee costs the most or has the highest home value, followed by a freehold property with a POTL monthly fee, as well as a condo townhouse that is not stacked at all. Then after that, we have condo townhouses that are stacked. Now, usually if you have the 2 or 3-story above ground units, they're more expensive than the 1-story units that are above ground, and then followed by the 1-story units that are below ground. So with all these different options, freehold versus condo, stacked condo versus a not stacked condo townhouse, how do you decide what is right for me? Most of the time it comes down to affordability in terms of the overall price, as well as your willingness to pay for a monthly fee. The overall price and the monthly fee both affect your ability to borrow money to buy the property. So that's not a question that I can necessarily answer. It all depends on when you're applying for a mortgage, if you're looking for a mortgage. The next is actually location. So not all areas have freehold townhomes, and not all areas have condo townhomes, and sometimes there's a mix of 2 in the same area. Once again, it depends on the location. Maybe one type is way more popular than the other type in that area. It's not really anything you can do with it, just happens to be how the builders built them at that time. Similarly, size and space. I mean, there are freehold townhomes that are small, and there are condo townhomes that are huge. So it's not like one style, either freehold or condo is larger than the other. And there's not like one stacked condo townhouse is bigger than another condo townhouse that isn't stacked. It really depends. Once again, I mentioned outdoor spaces. In fact, not all townhouses have backyards. I've shown a variety of different townhomes that either have a backyard, don't have a backyard, or have maybe a terrace, a rooftop terrace, or some other type of outdoor space. Some of them only have balconies. So once again, you have to determine what kind of outdoor space you're looking for. If you are wanting a backyard, once again, some condo townhomes have a backyard, some freehold townhouses do not have a backyard. So let's keep going. Security, once again, it depends, right? Some condo townhomes have a gated community that is shared with a condo apartment. Most freehold townhomes don't have a gated community, unless you're talking about extreme luxury type of freehold townhomes. Similar to amenities, if you're looking for townhouse living with some access to amenities, you're probably looking at a condo townhouse that is associated with a condo apartment. All right. Parking, most townhomes have parking. Maybe some of the 1-story condo townhomes don't have parking, but most townhomes have parking associated with it. Either it's attached part of the garage or it's in an underground parking lot structure. At the same time, stairs. If you looked at some of the stacked condo townhomes, there are quite a number of stairs just to get to the unit, and then you have stairs within the unit. So let me show you what I mean by that. So you see this one here. Let's say you're the family that has the 2-story unit with the rooftop. So let's say you park your car, and the parking lot for here is likely to be an underground parking lot or attached at the back separately. But let's just say you definitely have to take at least one set of stairs just to get to your unit. Then you have another set of stairs to get to your second level of your unit, and then you have another set of stairs to get to the rooftop. So for some people, they may look at that and say, I don't want to take this many stairs. I'd rather have some other type of townhouse. For example, maybe something like this, right? Where there's only maybe one set of stairs and that's it. Or another property like this, where you only have one set of stairs to get to your unit. Or, something like this, where another condo townhouse, you just drive in, one set of stairs. Or this, you drive in and no sets of stairs to get into your unit. So that would be another major factor to consider as well. Now, obviously, I can't answer everything in this video. If you have any questions, that's my email. There's my phone number. I have a ton of more videos for buyers and sellers, investors on my website. Feel free to reach out to me, and I hope to see you at the next video. All right, bye.